cream cup.
Your I'm 2 parts. This one is actually my #1 favorite of all the shorts. It kicks so much ass. Oh my god, world record is so fucking good. It was directed by the inspirational Takeshi Koike, same man behind the most insane anime film of all time, Redline. But way back before the Animatrix, he was still a young artist working under Kawajiri as a key animator at Madhouse Studios. Kawajiri, upon finishing his script for a world record, gave Koike all the freedom in the world to blast his vision across the screen. And did he ever? His style is unmatched in the anime medium. It's one of the most unique, graphic, slick, and just downright cool styles I've ever had the pleasure of witnessing. No one can animate like Koike. He uses drastic foreshortening and funhouse mirror silhouettes to shape the framing of his cinematography, making the proportions and movements feel larger than life.
じゃあ小池はもうワールドレコードの方に専念してっていう形を取ったんですけど、で彼はその前に自分のキャラクターデザインでのちょっとした、短いもんですけど、そういうのをちょうどやりだした時期だったんで、彼のスタイルっていうのはやっぱすごくみんなが注目してたんでね、これはもう今絶対やらしたいなと。
僕のキャラクターの、個性としてはまずデフォルメをするっていうことなんですけど、ただデフォルメをするだけだと崩れてる絵になっちゃうので、リアルな感じを持たせながら手を大きくしたり、そういうのバランスを考えて、キャラクターを作ってます。僕が周りのアニメーターと違うところは、まずキャラクターのシルエットとして BL の影オンリーで、絵を表現すること。それはキャラクターだけじゃなくて背景も含めて、全体の画面として影の陰影をきっちり出して作るスタイルでアニメーションの表現をしてます。影をきっちり出すことによって立体の表現を個性を出せるっていうか、絵のスタイルとして個性を出せる表現方法として一番表現方法かなと思ってます。
The story is about an Olympic sprinter named Dan. He's gearing up for a big career-defining race. Throughout, we get flashbacks interspersed of his friends, family, and reporters badgering him about the event or urging him not to destroy his muscles for it. On the surface, it doesn't seem like anything too special, but what's noteworthy is that Dan has the same apathetic and short attitude towards every one of his peers. He doesn't take anything they say seriously, and treats them like they barely exist. Which is absolutely true. They don't exist. Dan is one of those humans trapped in the Matrix that's acutely aware of his surroundings, and on some level can tell that these friends of his are just AI meant to suppress him further into this reality. And the more the short goes on and the more people pressure him, you see just how desperate the agents are to keep him from running this race. It creates that haunting air of intrigue and mystery that was ever present in the original film. Getting back to the race, Dan fights the pain of his brilliantly animated breaking bones and muscles and manages to quickly outrun all of his opponents. So quickly, in fact, that suddenly, time stops all at once. This immediately informs the agents that Dan is about to wake up, and this line followed by this shot always gives me goosebumps.
He cannot wake up. Do not let him wake up.
The other runners morph into agents, but even they have difficulty snagging him with all the advantages they have. And this badass motherfucker literally starts seeing the binary that holds the Matrix together and fucking sprints his way out of the VR. The guy ran out of the Matrix. Neo fucking wishes he was that hardcore. This is some of the most metal shit I have ever seen. Dan has got some overlord anime protagonist energy and I am fucking here for it. But unfortunately, a machine catches him instantly and brutalizes his body and mind back into submission. This also scared the shit out of me as a kid, just FYI. We cut back to the Matrix as Dan's body is ragdolled across the track, breaking his legs and setting a new world record in the process. God, this is just so brutal and awesome. Koike animated the ever-loving hell out of this sequence and I cannot get enough of it. But what really solidifies this short as my favorite is the ending. Dan is in a wheelchair being nursed by another AI that's just chewing his ear off with small talk. An agent in the background assures his colleagues that while this was an interesting case, there's ultimately nothing to worry about, as he will never walk or run again. The agent closes that Dan just finished off his career with the highest note of a world record. What more could anyone ask for? But Dan's will for freedom is so freaking strong that he forces his body up and nearly achieves Neo levels of power before crashing back down to his knees and harshly cutting to black. Fucking phenomenal. What a powerful ending. Dan muttering free under his breath as he tries to break through the confines of the Matrix is so uncontrollably badass and heartbreaking all at the same time. As a kid, I rooted for this guy so much and was so sad that his story wasn't expanded on more. But it doesn't need to be, because that would just lessen the impact of this tightly woven, immaculately written short story. And when you have a short like this, with a simple premise, intense action, lively animation, and a sympathetic main character who has an iconic set piece of a shining moment, what more could anyone ask for?
それはやっぱり周りの人間がね、想像以上にすごいものが出てきたんで、本当にすごく喜んでるし、やっぱワールドレコード見てもやっぱりちょっとあんだけかっこいい絵描くやつはちょっといねえだろうな。
So there's not much to say about this one. It's not bad, per se, there's just not really any concrete story. It's more of an experiment in meditative calming animation and handheld camera styles for its cinematography, which makes for a great visual experience, but doesn't leave you with much narratively. This short was directed by Koji Morimoto, best known for his work on the anthology film Genius Party Beyond with Dimension Bomb. And yes, I will be covering the Genius Party movies eventually, but I have other stuff planned first. Morimoto also worked as an animator on Akira and co-directed the 1995 anime film Memories. So the guy clearly has got some mad chops, and he puts them to good use here. For all intents and purposes, it looks gorgeous. And it really creates a zen-like atmosphere that really does affect me. The story here is basically a bunch of kids are looking for this girl Yoko's cat, who they find at a quote-unquote haunted house, which is really just a rundown building that is home to a glitch in the Matrix, where countless anomalies and phenomena linger much to the children's enjoyment. And this lends itself to some very creative and even eerie anecdotes and scenarios. Levitating feathers, time reversals, inconsistent gravity, clipping light bulbs, weather changes, and even the end of the map. It's really cool, and it's some great stuff to get high as balls to, but again, there's really nothing of substance for me to talk about or analyze. I couldn't even find any behind-the-scenes footage or rough animation pencil tests of this short. The most I can say is what happens near the end. A bunch of agents show up in a giant red vehicle, nice job almost killing this one kid by the way, to reconfigure the area. And the next day, the children are trying to recreate the oddities they saw the day before, metaphor, but to no avail. Yoko accidentally cuts her hand and lets the blood run down her finger, and when I first saw this, I thought it was a metaphor for how Yoko was trying to find something to physically feel given that life in the Matrix is so monotonous. But now that I'm saying that out loud, I just sound like a pretentious asshole, so just forget that. But if nothing else, what I like most about this short is how it portrays this part of the Matrix as something beautiful and, dare I say, freeing. All the other shorts focus on either the cosmic horror or the psychological and societal ramifications of the Matrix. But here, it's almost implying that life in the Matrix can be rather peaceful if you're living in complete ignorance, like a child would. It's beautifully drawn with soft, subtle animation, gorgeous camera and layout work, immaculate lighting and color theory, and leaves me with a very if-only type feeling. And, well, anyway, that's pretty much all I got for you. I like it. Yeah, it's okay. Next one. This is Shinichiro Watanabe's second entry in the film, and even though I love the style, detail, atmosphere, and animation, this is actually one of the weaker entries for me, mainly because of how inconclusive it is. The story feels like it should be part of a bigger overarching narrative, but instead it's a short film. And knowing Watanabe, he could have made a kick-ass anime out of this, but that's never gonna happen. In fact, this whole thing really does read more like a test pilot for a network. One that just leaves me wanting more, but not in the good way. The story is a private eye named Mr. Ash gets assigned to a case looking for the hacker named Trinity. Through a series of Alice in Wonderland references, he deduces where to find Trinity at the first of 6 brooks, which just so happens to be on a train. Mr. Ash and Trinity greet each other at gunpoint, but before any further pleasantries can be addressed, Trinity uses her suction gun to pull out the tracking bug the agents implanted in him. This, of course, stuns him, but there's no time to explain, as agents materialize onto the train and start to hunt down Ash and Trinity. They try to find a way to escape, but before they can, Mr. Ash himself starts morphing into an agent, forcing Trinity to shoot him where he stands. They share a somber goodbye as Trinity admits that she believes Ash could have handled the truth of this world, but since he's been compromised by the agents, he can't go with her. Trinity escapes out the window of a fucking moving train. Jesus Christ, the Matrix is nuts. And the agents finally catch up to Mr. Ash and holds them up at gunpoint while lighting what may be his last cigarette. And that's it. That's the short. And I gotta say, I'm quite underwhelmed. I guess I can't be too hard on it, though. I mean, it's better than Osiris and Beyond, but nowhere near as engaging as Program or World Record. It sits comfortably as a very middle-of-the-road short, but man, I would have loved to have seen more done with this story. Because the world Watanabe created here looks fucking amazing. I love the monochrome ink brush painted style of this film noir city. It creates such a classic foggy 1930s New York aesthetic that's heavily complemented by its soft jazz score. It sounds and looks brilliant. The most interesting part about this short is that the pitch for it was actually made at the last minute by Watanabe because the Wachowskis had rejected a shitload of other scripts and ideas, which, I mean, isn't the most interesting thing, but like, fuck, I'm trying to dig for cool stuff to talk about here. Even though I'm not particularly passionate about this entry, it's still great to hear Watanabe express his passion for the project and the medium.
昔からハードボイルド映画とかそういうものが好きだったので、そういうものが一度やってみたいなと思っていたので、それはマトリックスの世界観にも合うんじゃないかと思ったので、そういうハードボイルド映画とトリニティの話を組み合わせようと思いました。最初自分がアニメーションの世界に入った時からあまりアニメと実写っていうものをそんなに区別しないで考えていたので、むしろマトリックスの映画なんかを見てもアニメと実写っていうものがすごく近づいているような感じがするんですよ。そういうだからもっとボーダーレスに仕事をしていければいいかなと思うんですけど。
Believe me, I wish I had more to say about this short, I really did. But unfortunately, this entry falls flat for me in both its narrative and its characters. There's just not enough for me to chew on here. But it is cool, and like I said, the style is goddamn gorgeous. I just wish I, liked it more. Anyway, we're almost done here, so on to the last one. We made it to the last entry! And it sucks! Okay, that's an overgeneralization, but this is easily the second weakest of all the short films, the worst obviously being Osiris. It's not god-awful, but compared to every other short we've covered thus far, it leaves a lot to be desired. And the main reason I discovered for my dislike of it is, and I'm probably gonna get a shitload of hate for this, but I was never a fan of Peter Chung's work. I never got into Aeon Flux, I struggle to care about his Riddick Dark Fury movie, and I haven't been interested in any of his other stuff. Oh, and he worked on Rugrats. That's cool. And I'm not saying the guy's a bad artist, quite the contrary. His artwork on its own is incredible. I especially like the style when it comes to his layouts and creature design. Overall, though, I personally don't get much out of seeing it in animation. It's completely subjective on my part. But visuals are one thing. How's the writing? Well, this is far from the worst writing I have ever seen, but the dialogue is pretentious and stiff, its pacing is inconsistent, and the overall premise, while interesting, gets muddled in a clunky execution. Let's dive right in, shall we? The story centers around a rebel group of humans and their little pet monkey trying to lure in machines to do experiments on them. Our protagonist, Alexa, manages to get 2 runner machines to chase her into her home complex. But before that, one of them literally shits out a tracker to let other machines know where they are. The runner bots enter the facility and face off against one of the machines the humans reprogrammed. The fight costs the life of one of the runners, but the other one is still standing. Alexa comes in and shocks it into standby mode, and a curtain is pulled to see that the rest of the team was overlooking this trial. Now, I gotta wonder, what was the point of dangling the monkey in there? I don't get it. Why did you do that? To see if they'd fucking kill it? What the fuck? What did the monkey do? Anyway, after that, Alexa and this scientist guy, I don't know his name, talk about the rehabilitation program they're partaking with the machines they capture. The goal of this curriculum is to bring the mind of the machine into the human's construct and see if they can alter its search and destroy programming and get it to assist them in the Zion Revolution. Again, this is a pretty interesting idea, one that maybe should have been explored in Matrix Resurrections, or fuck, even Revolutions. But instead they fucked our eye sockets for 2.5 hours. That movie was fucking garbage! But interesting idea aside, the way they talk about it is ungodly pretentious and deadpan as fuck. Not to mention, it sounds way too rehearsed. Like, this is not a natural conversation, and you can tell they are reading from a very full of itself script. So they hook up the runner bot and all the other humans join in as we enter this trippy interpretation of the construct. The runner at first tries to attack them, but they act all playful and weird and, yeah, it's weird. Anyway, the point here is to show this robot a variation of human emotions to see if they can slowly coerce it into being human. And some of these scenarios range from understandable, like fear and happiness, to what the fuck is this? Seriously, what the fuck? But I do give credit to Peter Chung for going all out with his artistry. He went full on rainbow psychedelic on our asses, and in some scenes it really pays off. However, the CG isn't always the best. It can look rather awkward at times, and, well, it's kind of given the vibe that Chung was using the CG more as a crutch than a tool. Which isn't inherently bad, like, I get it, the guy came in late on the project and he didn't have a lot of time to get it done. So all things considered, I think he did a good job with the resources at his disposal, it's just not my cup of tea. So after the humans dick around with the robot's psyche for a bit, we re-enter the real world to see that the machines the runners beckoned here have finally arrived. They start destroying the base as every last one of the humans gets slaughtered. After the massacre, oh no, the monkey, why did you kill the monkey? Fuck. After the massacre, the runner bot hooks itself and Alexa back into the construct, but Alexa reacts with fear and dread, as it's now her eternal fate to stay in this false reality with just this robot. A horrifying realization, but one that doesn't last long, as Alexa succumbs to her injuries and passes away. The runner stands atop a hill overlooking the damage it helped cause, and mourns the humans as a result. I actually really like this ending. It's dark, philosophical, and really sad without any spoken words. Just the animation doing what animation does best. I do give Peter Chung credit for writing a twistedly somber conclusion to his short, and taking full advantage of the medium to do basically whatever he wanted. I may not be crazy about this one, but I have found a lot to like about it as I kept coming back to it. I still have a hard time keeping engaged, but I certainly don't hate it as much as I used to when I was a kid. It has grown on me a bit, mainly because of its ending. I appreciate grim dark shit, and Peter Chung delivered on that front, so good job. Overall, I give this one a bagel. And so, that was the Animatrix. I didn't mean for this to be a two-parter at first, but my laptop is getting old and can't process giant videos like it used to. I need to get a new computer. But I have to say, I find these short films extremely fascinating despite the fluctuating quality. Each one offers unique visions and individual styles that truly separate each one from the other. Despite their flaws, their glowing strengths shine through the grime, and they all have much more interesting things to say about the Matrix than the bloody fucking sequels do, looking at you especially. It's a great viewing experience, and reminds me of the heights animation can reach with the combined efforts and minds of such talented and innovative artists. It's a bizarre, trippy, haunting film that may not have the most optimistic messages and themes, but one that leaves an everlasting impression on you. And I mean that. Every person I've asked about this movie has some core memory nostalgia of it. Mainly of World Record, Program, and Beyond, which, yeah, totally fair, those are the most famous ones. For me, this whole film ranks as a solid 8 out of 10. And I'm having a hard time writing a segue. Thanks for watching. Drive safe, eat flesh, and, subscribe if you want. Yeah, you don't have to, but if you do, consider donating to my bank account.